Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Troy Charles, and here are your top stories. Thunder Bay Fire and Rescue are investigating the cause of a fire in the Island Drive Bridge area after 2 cement trucks caught fire in the area Friday evening. Fire and Rescue say although the smoke was visible from a long distance, finding an access route to the blaze delayed suppression efforts. The first pumper on scene found 2 cement trucks on fire. One truck had a burning engine compartment, while tires on both vehicles had caught fire. In total, 3 pumpers, a tanker, and an aerial ladder responded to the call and managed to extinguish the fire. Fire Rescue is reporting no injuries, with the cause of the fire still unknown. And the city of Thunder Bay is taking further steps to help businesses recover from COVID-19, approving a rent relief program for its commercial tenants. Businesses that have experienced a 50% drop in revenue can apply to have a quarter of their rent waived for the months of April, May, and June. Another 50% of that can now be paid out over a period of 3 years, leaving just 25% to be paid up front. Eligible tenants have until August 31st to apply. Details are available on the city website. And Thunder Bay's newly approved 2020 tax policy contains good news for apartment dwellers. About 62% of renters are entitled to a rent reduction as the tax ratio on multi-residential properties has dropped. Residents in about 160 properties can expect nearly 2.5% reduction. Those renters will receive a letter from the city informing them of the change. Landlords are required to pass those savings on to their tenants.
They are mandated to reduce the rent, and if they were not to, then the tenant would be required to go through the Residential Tenancy Act and go to the board.
The news isn't so good for homeowners, however. Those with an average home value of $215,000 can expect to pay nearly $82 more in taxes this year. Councillors Andrew Folds and Trevor Gertuga were the only ones to vote against the new tax policy, citing that increase as the reason for their opposition. While the amount of daily new cases of COVID-19 in Canada has seen a slow but steady decline since late May, the same cannot be said for our neighbours to the south. As many states have eased restrictions and begun to reopen, the virus has reminded them it's not going away anytime soon.
This morning, coronavirus cases surging in parts of the United States. The country logging 3 straight days of record high totals as the death toll rises above 125,000. Despite those figures, at Friday's coronavirus task force briefing, the first in 2 months, Vice President Mike Pence touted what he called encouraging news the U.S. was opening safely.
We have made truly remarkable progress in moving our nation forward.
Dr. Anthony Fauci warned the U.S. will be seeing more deaths, again urging people to social distance and wear masks.
If we want to end this outbreak, really end it, we've got to realize that we are part of the process.
Florida reporting a staggering 8,900 cases Friday. Governor Ron DeSantis waved it off as a test dump and says he will not mandate wearing masks.
We're going to trust people to make good decisions.
But in Miami, the mayor is now requiring masks, and bars there and across the state are now closed. Overnight, code enforcement officers hitting the street in Fort Lauderdale, making sure businesses are following the rules. Texas bars have met the same fate, part of a statewide reopening reversal. Restaurants have scaled back capacity and elective surgeries are banned once again. In Harris County, home of Houston, officials have instituted a code red threat level, urging everyone to only leave home for groceries or medicine.
We find ourselves careening toward a catastrophic and unsustainable situation.
In Arizona, several bars and restaurants are electing to close to keep crowds away, and multiple hospital systems are activating their surge plans. In California, hospitalizations, ICU admissions, and deaths were all up on Friday.
Getting back into some local news, Tikanagan Child and Family Services managed to recruit some well-known people for a special video they released this past week. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Mayor Bill Morrow, and NAN Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler were just a few of the people who took part in the celebratory video for the agency's annual Honor Our Children Day. Tikanagan released the 4-minute video on Wednesday to remind everyone how special and important children are, especially during the challenging times due to COVID-19. Tikanagan Executive Director Thelma Morris says these messages are just one way people can celebrate what this day means to our children, families, community, and staff.
Our world is looking a little different right now, and making children feel special at a time like this takes a community effort.
This important day is just one way to remind children
how awesome, amazing, super, incredible, smart, fun, strong, and special they are.
As well as to emphasize the uniqueness, dignity, and value of every child.
Since 2010, Honoring Our Children Day is recognized throughout the summer and into the fall by the agency in each of the 30 First Nation communities.
Let's honor our children. Let's work together to give children and youth love,
safety, attention, and compassion.
Thank you for stepping up to raise our children. Merci. Miigwech.
Workplace Safety North has sponsored an artwork challenge for 2 secondary schools in Thunder Bay, asking students to depict artwork that focuses on workplace health and safety, diversity, inclusivity, and mental health, displaying the pieces in a virtual art gallery. 16 students from Dennis Franklin Cromartie and Superior Collegiate took part in the 2nd annual challenge. The messages in the artwork vary from piece to piece. Artist Faith Watley's photo describes the parallel journeys of an older worker, graduate, and an immigrant, and the challenges they face in the workplace and how they represent an inclusive, diverse workplace for all. And Brooke Eiley's work titled I'm OK shows that mental health is not always easy to see and the stress the workplace can have on one's mental health. After viewing the artwork, event host Angel Poitras knows the world is in good hands with the next generation.
I think it's important that we showcase the artwork of the students because they are our future generation. And the stories behind the artwork really show that we're leaving the world in good hands. And for me, I have the very best job because I get to meet these students. And I know one of my colleagues who had the opportunity to go back and collect the artwork and listen to the stories said it was one of the most profound moments of her career.
All the students who participated in the challenge will receive a cash prize. The gallery can be viewed at artsteps.com. Yard sales have begun to pop up around the city again as COVID-19 restrictions continue to ease in the Northwest. Although they are permitted, Thunder Bay's Medical Officer of Health has a few tips to ensure the safety of residents. A few garage sales could be found in Thunder Bay today, and Dr. Janet DeMille has some suggestions on how to minimize the risk of COVID-19. She is encouraging residents interested in holding a yard sale to try and take an online approach. For those who still would like to hold a garage sale, DeMille urges residents to hold them on yards as opposed to in a garage to provide more space. She also wants people to be mindful of money exchanges during the sales.
Really use the yard. Of course, have it outside, most are. And then be mindful, like if there's an exchange of money, wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer, do that frequently. And if people are in close proximity to one another, then use a mask. Those are some examples.
Dr. DeMille reminds yard sale hosts that gatherings of people are still only limited to 10. Gatherings that exceed the 10 people limit are not allowed under the province's emergency order, and those violating the order may face consequences. Pride organizations in the region, along with the local brewery, have come together in a partnership that brings attention to Pride Month and also hits the spot for beer drinkers in the city. This past week, Sleeping Giant Brewery unveiled its limited-run Pride Lives Here beer, a dry-hopped kettle sour complete with a rainbow-themed can. The launch was done in conjunction with the Pride Lives Here campaign, launched in Fort Frances by Borderland Pride and locally by Thunder Pride. Portions of the proceeds from the beer will be donated to both Pride organizations. Jason Veltri, chair of Thunder Pride, says it's an exciting way to continue to spread the Pride Lives Here message after the two organizations started earlier this month, giving out nearly 2,000 lawn signs throughout the region.
It's really important that our businesses stand with the 2S LGBTIQ community. We're seeing more and more now our community getting on board, doing their own events, contributing back to our organizations with different products like the beer. There's the Pride Burger at Beefcake's Burger Factory. There's the Donut Run donuts that are being done for Pride. And we're all kind of in this together. This is showing that we're actually moving the conversation forward on inclusion and a better understanding of the 2S LGBTIQ community in the city and the region.
Doug Judson from Borderland Pride made the drive out from Fort Francis for the launch event and says it's a perfect example of what companies can do when they ally together.
Pride can't exist in a vacuum. Like, we can't just preach to the choir of Pride organizations and LGBT people. Pride is powered when allies are involved and participate and come forward with their ideas, because it puts political pressure on, I think, the institutions that are hesitant to get involved and to be part of the initiative, or don't understand maybe what the role of local government, or what the role of a brewery, or what the role of a car dealership, or whatever it is that they do. It's important for them to start thinking creatively about how we all have a responsibility to build the types of communities we want to see.
Kevin Brewer is the GM at Sleeping Giant, and he gave a little more background into the small batch beer, which they made about 100 cases of.
A dry hop kettle soured beer is a lot of work. And we also know that it's kind of a desirable beer at this time of the year. It's nice and light, refreshing. So we knew it was going to have a lot of pull as far as people were going to be interested in it. And I think the pairing with the campaign, the Pride Lives Here campaign, was a great fit. It's going to bring a lot of people that are, interested in try that beer, but also, help send the message of Pride Lives Here.
To no one's surprise, the beer was a hot commodity, and as of this weekend, the cans are already sold out, but you can still get it on tap at the Sleeping Giant Brewery or at a handful of pubs and restaurants around the city. Joined by Mike Mohorich. And Mike, I did get to try some of that off hours. I'm definitely not working anymore, but it was a nice crisp beer. But over to you. We got some golf again and some Canadian content this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know about you. Moving Day is my favorite day of PGA tournaments. We got the highlights from the Travelers round 3 after the break.